Good morning. Thank you for being here and welcome to another webinar that we're doing. Today's topic will be internet safety. And I just want to do a quick few words of introduction for myself and for the organization. Um, my name is JC Cortez, and I'm the Director of Training and Development here at Synergia's Metropolitan Parent Center. And before we get started, we wanted to know that we are broadcasting today's event live via Facebook Live. So hello to our Facebook people, followers. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you have any questions on Facebook, by all means, please post them in the comments. We'll be supervising and monitoring those throughout the presentation. Synergia is a multi-service agency located in Manhattan that has been supporting New Yorkers and with individuals, supporting New Yorkers with disabilities and their families for more than 40 years. We offer a rich source of information and training tailored for parents, including parents whose primary language is not English or who they themselves have special training needs. We help them participate more effectively in their children's education and the development as we partner with professionals and policymakers to improve outcomes for all children with disabilities, like we have today. Synergia is Spanish for synergy and is one of New York City's 3 federally funded parent centers committed to serving people with disabilities and their families with an added focus on communities of color and the economically disadvantaged. Synergia creates innovative programs ranging from transitional housing for homeless families who have children with disabilities to parenting classes for adult parents with intellectual disabilities and parenting and education advocacy training for parents of children with disabilities. A few housekeeping notes. We are recording this presentation and a PowerPoint will be shared with you afterwards, usually within 48 hours. I try to be really quick about that. But please ask any questions at any time. We want you to leave this presentation with as many answers as you can and better understanding of the topic. Hopefully you leave with more of that than not. So yes, please feel free to reach out. And if we haven't answered your question clearly enough, please ask it again in a different way. We may seek clarification as well. So we want to make sure that you remember that any presentation that we do here, that we are not lawyers and this is not a legal advice. So if you need to consult with a lawyer, please do so on your own. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and get started and welcome my colleagues that are joining us from Fordham University today to discuss internet safety, both doctoral candidates at Fordham. I'm mostly in psychology, if I recall correctly. I'm not looking at my notes, but yes, we have Miss Gabriela Munoz de Zuvidia and also Cindy Molina. And we're so happy that both of you could join us today. Gabriela Munoz de Zuvidia is a 4th-year counseling psychology PhD student. Here are my notes. She was born in Chile to Colombian and Peruvian parents and lived in Venezuela prior to moving to the United States. Her clinical interests include working with historically marginalized and underserved populations. Specifically, she is interested in counseling undocumented immigrants and individuals from mixed status families. She has clinical experience working in 2 distinct college counseling centers, providing short-term individual psychotherapy to young adults. Her identity as a Latina immigrant has strongly influenced her educational, research, and career trajectories. As a member of the CCMH project at Fordham University, she seeks to expand her clinical experience working with at-risk school-age children and their families. And Cindy Molina is an advanced school psychology PhD student. She was born in the Dominican Republic and came to the United States when she was 10. Prior to entering graduate school, she taught Spanish at a college and at an elementary school in New Jersey. Over the course of her graduate training, she has worked with a broad range of child and adolescent populations in schools, hospitals, foster care, and private practice settings. Cindy is interested in family systems, culturally sensitive measures and treatments, and increasing access to quality mental health services. Her research interests include exploring the impact of intersecting microaggressions, racial and ethnic identities, and racial socialization. Through the CCMH project, Cindy hopes to continue empowering youth and families. So thank you so much, ladies, for being with us this morning. Welcome to Synergia. We're so excited to have you and to really discuss a really disconcerting topic for so many. And I think it was always an important topic, I think, but I feel like with the pandemic, we kind of had competing priorities and you know, it's just kind of fallen through the cracks for so many. But I think, especially now that children are online even more, like behind a computer as much as we are, if not more, the topic is even more important and timely. So thank you for being here to discuss this topic. And please.
Thank you so much for having us. It really is a great pleasure to be here, and we're looking forward to sharing information with you all. So please, like JC said, if you have any questions throughout, please let us know.
Yes, thank you so much for that introduction, JC. So now I am going to share my screen to share the PowerPoint with everyone. Okay. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So once again, good morning, everyone. Today, Cindy and I are going to be presenting on internet safety, and we want to make this as collaborative and informative as possible. I know that some people are tuning in from Facebook Live, and then we have some individuals on Zoom. So however you're able to contribute whenever you feel that you want to, or if you have questions, we definitely welcome that in whatever capacity that you feel most comfortable. Okay, so here's a quick breakdown on what we're going to be going over today. We'll start with some reflection questions. We have a very cute video for everyone to watch. We'll talk about the different uses of the internet while also highlighting similarities between adult and kid use of the internet. We'll go over common social media platforms as well as internet dangers, and we'll wrap up with tips and resources. And as a reminder, please feel welcome to participate in whatever way that you feel most comfortable.
So we'd like to go ahead and get started with some opening reflections. So these are some of the questions that parents, we've asked parents, right? So what's the hardest part about talking with your children about internet safety? How can we create safe spaces to talk about internet safety? And we want to encourage you to share any experiences you may have or have had, or anything that you would like to learn throughout this presentation. So as we continue to go through the presentation, just keep these questions in mind, and just, participate, whether it's in the chat, whether it's, speaking up. We definitely encourage as much participation as possible. Oops. Okay, so some more questions are to think about where in the home is there a laptop or a computer located? Does your home computer have parental control features that allow you to control and or monitor the internet content your child views? And is this activated or turned on? Do you supervise your children while they are online? And does your child have social networking accounts such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, or Discord? We know that these are very popular platforms that children and adolescents are typically on. So it's important to just keep in mind and be aware that these are some of the platforms they may be on, and just to really think about if you have these control features or if they are turned on, right? Just some more reflecting questions to get us thinking through before we begin our presentation. Okay, and does your child also have an email account, right? We want to know if our children have email accounts, if they're on frequently. Does your child have an Apple Music or Spotify account? Does your child have a gaming system, such as a Wii, an Xbox, Nintendo DS, PSP, or PlayStation? And is this connected to the internet? Is there a camera on your laptop or your computer?
Okay, so if you answered yes, you're in the right place. Internet safety is something that is really important to care about for both you and for your family. Just like parents set rules for their household, for example, having a curfew or making sure that you know where your child is if they're visiting someone else's home or staying the night. The same can be considered for internet use. These rules can be an excellent way to establish internet safety in the home.
Okay. So here we have a little video. This is a poll that they took where 100 kids explained the internet. So just, it's nice to see how kids talk about the internet, and so how we think that they may think about the internet versus how they actually express themselves. So this is just like a collection of a bunch of kids talking about the internet. And as we watch this video, you know, we want you guys to just think about what are some things that come to mind. You know, what are some of the things that you notice or ways that you see that these children explain the internet as they're being asked?
Explain the internet.
A trap that we all fall into eventually. Like when you say, okay, one more minute, one more, an hour later, one more.
Do you know what the internet is?
Nope. No. Which internet?
You know the internet.
I don't know. I don't know what the internet is. I know a lot about the internet.
Liam, do you know what the internet is?
Yes.
What is it?
The internet is something that it has a lot of things, but it can be like a website thingamabob where you can learn.
You can Google things.
You just type something in and it'll give you the answer and you don't have to do all the work. It's like a fake newspaper. I don't know.
What? Explain the internet.
It goes buzz, buzz.
Yeah, like a bumblebee. I don't really know. Kind of like a screen, maybe? Internets are screens. It's kind of like when you watch videos, play lots of games, talk to each other. You can text and call people.
Marissa, you know what the internet is?
Duh.
I don't see how you don't know what the internet is, but it's sort of like where people share stuff to each other.
And then when other people see it,
Social media.
Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, blah, blah, blah.
Tell me about TikTok.
TikTok is where you dance to songs. Basically, only teenagers do TikTok. My sister doesn't let me use TikTok anymore, so I can't remember.
Tell me about YouTube. What's YouTube? How does YouTube work?
You should know you're filming a YouTube video right now.
You know what YouTube is?
Yeah.
YouTube is an app that you can watch videos.
They can edit the video so that it looks cool and get likes, subscribes.
Sometimes they can be people, sometimes they can be foods.
Do you ever go on YouTube?
Yeah.
Do you have to ask permission?
I don't usually have to ask permission because I already know how to get my tab onto YouTube.
Do you like the internet?
I do, except sometimes I have to get off it, so...
Why do you have to get off it?
Trolls. So there's a dark side and there's a light side, like Jedi and Sith. One of them completely inappropriate bonker stuff. Just like all the stuff that you should stay away from or not have your little sister watch. Like recently got me in trouble.
Of weird things,
Like what?
like kissing.
Gross.
The internet is sometimes a dangerous place to people because people can scam you on your phone.
Can you explain the internet?
Maybe the things that power up the devices. Yeah, you need the internet to play on your phone or something.
But how does it work?
How does it work? Like, what technology does it use? I don't know technology. You just press a button and you can do everything on your devices without having problems.
And how does it work?
It's electricity, special wires,
It's something that connects.
to it, and go to that TV.
It has to be plugged into something like a Wi-Fi connection.
How's that work though?
It's through a system. I don't know what the system is though.
Maybe a satellite, computer waves, I guess.
From like one phone to another phone.
Well, the internet works only if you pay your cable bill.
I need you to explain the internet to me.
Oh my God, I'm not like Bill Gates.
I don't know how to explain that. The internet?
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue. Something Bill Gates invented.
Do you think that somebody controls the internet?
Definitely, because my internet be doing some weird stuff.
Who do you think controls it?
The government.
Google, Siri, the tablet.
Do you think that somebody like is in charge of the internet?
Yeah, God.
Your mom's in charge of the internet?
I learned about who invented it, but I don't remember.
Who do you think that person is?
A tech person. No one really owns the web.
But I think people work to make sure we have good internet.
What would happen if it stopped connecting?
It's the end of the world. I would be doomed.
I would just sleep all day and eat food.
Yeah. That was human life before the internet.
Can you explain to me what the internet is?
The internet is a source that robots made. And robots are trying to take over our minds.
I see. So is the internet like bad?
No, it's not technically bad. It's just hypnotism.
Okay, so as you all heard, this is a bunch of different kids from different ages, talking about the internet. And as we see, we have a lot of magical or fantastical thinking as to what the internet might be, right? We have Jedi, we have magic, we have, traps and all these things. And it can be a trap, right? It can be a trap that people fall into, whether it's parents or teens or adolescents. And as we have been forced to be on the internet this past 2 years, it can be something that can be very dangerous. It can be good, but it's also important to know what the dangers of the internet are. And so today we'll be talking about that and giving you some tips, some resources, and some ways to really help your children and youth navigate and think about safe ways to be and explore the internet. So I don't know if you had any. I don't know if you all had any questions or reactions to the video, but you can, I can't monitor the chat, but if you want to jump in or say anything at any point, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's have some interactions. Parents, what are your concerns here? I mean, what are your reactions to these videos? I mean, I wish we could have seen like a reaction YouTube of all of us together, because some of those things were just so amusing.
And we're also curious to know if this is the way that your children speak about the internet. Have you asked them what the internet is, or do they know how it works? I think that's always a great place to start.
And if you want to come off mute, I mean, please let me just go ahead and indicate. I'll happy to let you speak.
Someone raised their hand.
Go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Maggie. I was looking at the video, and that would be probably the same reaction that my son would have. He's 12. He's on the autism spectrum, and he uses YouTube a lot, and I have to kind of always monitor him to watch what he's watching. He is conscious though about when something is like inappropriate, but it's just YouTube is a safety concern for me, because it's very open to a lot of inappropriate videos, or it's just the algorithm. So that's been my experience. But like he isn't aware of what the internet is, what the dangers are, and and going with other interactions of other kids, I do see them like having their own phones, and now my son is asking for his own phone that has everything on it, like all the apps, and that has the internet. So that's one of my concerns is what is the appropriate course of action when it comes to allowing him to have his own phone. He, in terms of maturity, he's below his age, and with social emotional. So even if when he's 15, is he going to be ready when he's 15? So that's one of the concerns. But thank you for the video.
Thank you for sharing.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing, of course. And you know, it is a very common concern that parents have. Just you know, when is it appropriate for children to even have their own cell phone, or how do I monitor? And there are ways of monitoring the screen time that they're allowed on their phone. Maybe limiting that time, or maybe even limiting the content that they have on their cell phones. The things that they can access. You can put like filters on phones so that, you know, you can know and kind of like be aware of what it is that they're watching. And even like sometimes on YouTube, we have these pop-up ads. There are ways to ensuring that they don't happen, that they don't come up, so that, you know, when they're on that video, they can be on that video that they're watching, and that, you know, that that's kind of the content that they're into. So there are various ways of monitoring, and we'll get into some of those things and also some of the traps as well.
Yes, definitely. Are there any more reactions or questions after watching that video? I know we've moved on to the next slide, but I just didn't want the video to start again. But we're happy to hear any more reactions.
Yes, and if any of our Facebook viewers also want to chime in, we're also watching on the comment section there. But please, if there's anybody else that would like to comment or react. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, so far. So now that we saw the video and kind of heard their children's view of the internet, we're now going to talk about some things that we use the internet for as adults or as parents, and that involves communication, shopping, getting your news, researching products, for finances, for entertainment, for job searches, for reading and pleasure. And, you know, what else might you add to this list of things that you use the internet for? And again, feel welcome to add it in the chat or speak up if you're comfortable. Okay. And well, the children's use of the internet is also pretty similar. And I imagine that's probably what you're thinking as you also take a look at these. And that's communication, entertainment, use of social media for homework or the distance learning, research, photo and video sharing, streaming, video games, chats, and reading and writing. So how familiar now are these things to you with your children and the internet use in your household? I see there's something in the chat.
Yes, Maggie was just saying she uses it for resources.
Definitely, me too. And I'm wondering if this list that you see up here seems pretty similar to how the internet is used in your household with your children, or if there are some things that we're missing, or maybe more individual approaches to the internet use in your household. Okay. Now we're going to go in and talk about some of the internet dangers.
Yes. So, you know, a quick Google search shows that some of the top internet dangers are inappropriate content, cyberbullying, predators, data theft, and malicious software, or also known as malware. Okay, so within inappropriate content, we have pornography, content focused on violent or hate propaganda. And these are things that definitely sometimes pop up as kids are searching the internet. So whether it's explicit pop-up ads or free games, videos showcasing children's cartoon characters in adult situations, or a forum promoting self-harm, an innocent search can expose children to content that make them feel upset and confused. So online activities that can increase the possibility of coming across inappropriate content are joining social networks before reaching the minimum age, playing games, using apps that are not age appropriate, watching live streams, which may show inappropriate content, or taking part in them and unconsciously being exploited, right? So, you know, something that can start off very innocent, at times just a quick search or looking at a game, or, you know, even being online with friends can expose your children to some of these dangers.
Now, the second internet danger is cyberbullying. And that's bullying through the internet or through messages like text or instant messaging. And this slide here provides some data from cyberbullying.org. And it's not meant to instill fear, instead just to draw attention to these numbers so we can be informed and act accordingly. So in a sample of nearly 5,000 middle and high school students, ages 12 to 17, approximately 37% report experiencing cyberbullying in their lifetimes. And when asked about specific types of cyberbullying experienced in the previous 30 days, mean or hurtful comments and rumor spreading online were the most commonly cited, and nearly a quarter for nearly a quarter each of them. And 30% of the sample reported being cyberbullied 2 or more times in the past month. So we can see that these numbers are pretty significant, and is something to be aware of if your child is, or you're noticing that someone is cyberbullying your child. And then here,
sorry to interrupt you. Can you refresh the, there we go, because we couldn't see the graphic. I don't know, they've been coming pixelated something throughout the presentation. There we go.
Okay, that could be my internet. Please let me know if
Sure.
graphics are not loading. But there is the cyberbullying victimization of what I just spoke about. And then on the next slide, is that clear?
Yes.
It would be offending. So that's if you're noticing that your child is the one doing the bullying. And approximately 15% of the students in the sample admitted to doing so. So in short, these numbers show us that not only do we need to support our children, but we also need to prevent, you know, through education and not encouraging or allowing this to happen. So what do we do if this happens? First of all, maintaining that open communication and having your child tell you if this is happening. If they let you know, tell them not to respond to any threatening or rude emails or any of the attacks. Make sure that you are saving the evidence. This can be a screenshot, this can be a video from another phone recording what is going on, whether that's on the computer or another cell phone. Taking screenshots and take note of when this is happening. In the event that you need to contact law enforcement, it'll be helpful to have this evidence. Or, you know, if you are going to the school to let them know if this is related to someone at school, you can provide that information. And the reason this evidence is important is because you also want to block the bullies. And sometimes when you block, that evidence might no longer be around. It might also be removed. So it's important to do those steps before blocking. And if necessary, deleting the account that your child has and helping them make a new one if you feel that that's appropriate at that time. If this is happening through text messages or phone calls, blocking the numbers can be an effective way before having to switch a whole telephone number. Are just some helpful tips here. And like I was saying, if this is school related, notifying the schools. If it's not school related and you feel you need to contact law enforcement, definitely do so. JC did give a disclaimer, you know, we're not lawyers and this is not legal advice. These are just some helpful tips and suggestions of what to do in the event that that this is going on in your household or with your children. You can also contact your internet service provider or cell phone provider to remove any web page created to hurt your child. And that's kind of what Cindy was saying earlier of the steps that we can take to make sure that the content being accessed is only the content that is wanted.
So another danger are predators, and within predators, we're talking like social networking sites or chat rooms. There we go. So some facts and statistics are 40% of kids in grades 4 to 8 reported they connected or chatted online with a stranger. And of those 40%, 53 revealed their phone number to a stranger, 21 spoke by phone with a stranger, 15% tried to meet the stranger, 11% met the stranger in their own home, the stranger's home, park, mall, or restaurant. 30% texted a stranger from their phone, and 6 revealed their home address to the stranger. And this information was gathered from the Center of Cyber Safety and Education, and these statistics are from 2019. So we see some alarming numbers, and also really getting, again, some more information and facts on, you know, it is a potential, it is a danger. And as parents and providers, we have to be aware, you know, not to alarm, but to be aware of what's going on and find ways to prevent it, right? Find ways of sitting down and talking with our kids and letting them know, you know, whether it's the parent or having a teacher or someone that they feel comfortable with, and just, you know, having that space, that open, safe space to talk about these things, right? To talk about, what is the internet? Are you on these platforms? You know, these are some of the dangers. You know, I'm going to block some of this content because there are potential threats out there. There are people that, you know, might want to cause harm. And so just really having our numbers so that we are aware that it's a real danger. Okay, so in terms of social media networks, right? So this is kind of like the fun stuff and knowing what kids are using, what are some of the texting or chat apps that they're using, right? So as we saw in the video, someone mentioned TikTok, the dancing platform, someone mentioned Instagram, where you post pictures, you have Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, WhatsApp, and Keep. These are all platforms that, you know, kids like to get together with their friends. Sometimes they talk to people they don't know, they post pictures, you know, so really monitoring, what are the pictures that they're posting? Who are they talking to? What are some of the content that they're consuming, right? What are the things that they're viewing? And just really even monitoring the time that they're on these applications, right? Like, you know, maybe they can only be on for an hour or a certain time of day, you know, so that they're not on 24/7 and not consuming as much of this information, or really being entering this like cyber world, right? You know, I know that kids now especially have been online doing homework and accessing things for school, right? But they're also connected to their phones, they're connected to the tablet, they're connected to the internet on these different gaming sites, right? So being aware that there are lots of outlets and lots of opportunities for children to explore and be connected to other people, other strangers and other teens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that. Before I move on to the next slide, which talks about the 4th internet danger, I just want to mention that component that Cindy mentioned about the time that your children are on these apps or accessing the internet or social media really is impactful. And then not only with that, you know, things like Instagram, then you have the Instagram ads, and that's where we're going to move into this with data theft, including stolen passwords, addresses, social security numbers, credit card numbers, and other financial information. And sometimes, you know, this occurs by what we are, what apps we're using, and if we're using them securely, and if we're purchasing through these to websites that are not secure. So, you know, most people in the US know an identity theft victim. And, you know, how many of you have had the unfortunate experience of stolen passwords or hacking or your credit card numbers being stolen? It's, you know, you don't have to say it or anything like that, but just think about kind of your knowledge of people you know, or if that has happened to you. An average of 4,800 websites are compromised by hacking each month. Millennials are accounted for 44% of identity fraud reports, and children are often victims of identity fraud as well. And again, I think that this all kind of plays into one another with the use of the apps and the social media, and when parents don't have control of what their child may be doing online. So how can we prevent this? Well, one of the most important things is to have a strong password and to use different passwords for each of your online accounts. If you have the option of using Duo Mobile, which is an authentication app or system, definitely activate that on your device and on your accounts, because what that will do is it'll alert you when you've signed on, and you'll have to authenticate to move forward to let you into the account. If someone is trying to get into your account and you have not approved that, whether it's your child going into an Instagram account that you monitor, or whether it's a hacker, a stranger, you will be alerted and you can prevent that from a successful login. Also, as I was mentioning earlier, it's important to use secure websites when making purchases online. Again, a lot of the ads that maybe are online and on these websites and apps maybe lead us to not the most secure websites that can target through making purchases that your credit card information is not going to be secure, and that's a way of that information getting stolen. And be careful who you share your accounts with. I think a lot of us maybe share a Netflix or a Hulu or different accounts, and with family and close friends, that's definitely okay. But once, you know, we lose track of who has passwords for what, or if we're using the same password for multiple accounts when we're sharing these things, that can leave us very vulnerable for getting our information stolen.
And I also, just to mention, think it's important, sometimes there are the kids that want to use the credit card information to buy a game or buy something that is related to maybe the PlayStation. I know there are lots of games that maybe ask for information, right, to purchase either a weapon or an upgrade or anything like that. So it's also important to know, you know, where you're putting your debit or credit or Visa card information.
Definitely. Okay, so now for the fifth internet danger, which is malware, malicious software. You can also see this be named adware, spyware, viruses, phishing scams. I know Gmail is very good about alerting for phishing, but I think on this slide, you'll see a lot of facts and statistics, but what kind of stands out the most is that nearly 3/4 of all cyber attacks occur for economic reasons. So again, like that financial component, that piece is kind of the biggest target. You can be aware of emails containing malware. I think one of the most common is receiving an email, you know, letting you know about a job opportunity that requires that you send your financial information over, or that you send money and then it'll be sent back to you. That is a really common attack. And if you receive that, delete it right away. If you receive it from an organization that is being is having those phishing attacks, to alert the organization, but don't open attachments and don't respond to that email. Once again, it's really important to use those strong passwords to offer some of the best protection and not to be repeating the passwords.
Okay, so now that we talked about the various dangers of the internet, we want to get into internet safety, right? So we know that there are all these dangers out there. What can we do to keep our kids and our families protected? Okay, so we've gathered a few tips here, and there's an amazing website. It's one of the resources we'll be sharing. It's called onguardonline.gov. And here we have just a bunch of tips, gathered from like internet safety. So one of the important tips is, oh, Gabby, can you refresh? It looks like it's choppy. But one of the internet tips is just communicating, right? Sitting down with your kids. It's never too early to start, as young as they may be. You may not know this, but they're thinking about it. They're aware of it. They've been exposed to the internet. They've been on it, whether it's through phone as young as even 4 years old. I've seen kids on phones, right? Playing apps, playing video games, watching YouTube, watching different videos. So really start communicating, start talking about it, start warning your kids about the dangers. Use like sound bites, not lectures, right? So little pieces of information here, just letting them know, okay, well, you'll be on for an hour, or maybe you'll be on for 30 minutes, and really monitoring their time. And use teachable moments to share your values and thoughts, right? Whether talking about something that may have happened to a friend, or maybe sharing your own experiences if you've had any negative experiences with the internet, maybe even sharing that with them would be helpful. And always remember to listen, right? What does your child think? What is your child's concerns? What are ways that we can really just listen to what it is that they have, right? What is the information that, the way that they talk about it and the way that they say things, and maybe just like informing ourselves about, being present and just being aware of just the way that they're communicating about the internet. Okay, and here we have some more internet safety tips. So it's important to establish rules and expectations before you get the technology, whether it's setting up passwords or unplugging Wi-Fi after a certain amount of time, letting them know, hey, you can go on the internet for a certain amount of time after you do your homework. You're not going to be on all day, really establishing those rules and expectations before, early on, so that they know what it is that they can expect. Discussing and agreeing on rules and consequences, right? So after you've established the rules, what are the consequences if you break those rules? Setting good examples, right? So maybe even limiting our own content, as the little girl in the video was saying, it's a trap we can fall into. We ourselves fall into this trap constantly. Sometimes I'm on my phone for hours and I forget that I've been on for a long time. So also really modeling that for our kids. And keep the lines of communication open. If they have any concerns, if they have any questions, have them feel comfortable enough to go to you and ask, or a trusted adult to ask, about anything that may be going on.
Definitely. I think that the line of communication being open is the starting point, and the best way to get success in achieving kind of the internet safety and support in the household. But with all of that being said, the internet is not all bad. It strengthens friendships, can offer a sense of belonging, and it provides genuine support, especially for communities with individuals that maybe feel like, they're the only ones experiencing something, having that resource and that connection to other people. And that's thanks to the internet. And we can't forget that. So, as long as we're using the internet safely and our children have access to the internet in safe ways, it can be a wonderful resource. We all, were dealing with being distant from family and friends, and potentially, going months without being able to see them due to the pandemic. And for some of us, we're, still in that kind of distance, but thankfully through the use of social media, hopefully we've been able to keep those connections open. The internet also exposes children to worldwide issues, and it allows them to be able to do good. As we were mentioning earlier, that both adults and children can use the internet as a way of receiving news and a way of learning what's going on in the world. And that's another really important piece of good use of the internet. And also it can help with self-expression and collaboration with others. Like I was mentioning earlier, it's a place where we can find a community and fit in. So I definitely wanted to kind of, I know when we were working on this presentation, to end off on that positive note that the internet is not all bad. And again, as long as we're taking the steps to use it safely, it can be a wonderful resource. So with that, we want to thank you, and Cindy is going to take a moment to talk about some resources in addition to what we offer for CCMH, and we have time for questions as well.
Yes, so here are some of the resources that we have gathered. There's a bunch throughout the presentation as well that we have shared with you, but these are some of the really good ones. They're NetSmart, so Nets for parenting, and then we have the cyberbullying one where you have a little bit more information there. In the NetSmart, I believe there are also applications for parents that they can use and just get a little bit more information and ways of controlling either the time that the child is spending on the internet, or there's a little bit more information on controlling content as well. And in terms of CCMH, Gabriela and I have consultation hours. So we can write them in the chat and we'll provide that information for you if you want to log on and talk about any specific questions or specific situations that, we know that we are on the internet and there are some information that maybe you don't want to share, or any particular instances or situations that are occurring with you. So we'll include our information so you can reach out to us. We will be on for an hour. This is every week. So feel free to sign on, log on, reach out to us. We'll also be including the CCMH email so that you can reach out. We offer individual sessions, and we're now starting to offer group, and we also do various workshops.
And when you do these, are these limited to residents of the Bronx or students that only attend in the Bronx, or is it for anyone?
The consultation is for anyone. However, the individual therapy is limited to children and adolescents in the Bronx. Of course, if there are concerns and individuals here do not, that are part of this presentation, do not live in the Bronx, you are welcome to come to our consultation hours, and we can also help us assist in finding resources if we cannot be that individual resource for you. So that's what those consultation hours are for. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can provide in the chat the flyers for this information. Yeah, I have consultation hour coming up from 12 to 1 p.m. today. So I'll send the link in case anyone is interested.
Great, thank you so much. And quick question. Do you have any tips? I find often that the kids know more about the phones than their parents. And so do you have any sort of tips for parents that might find themselves in this situation, or like a good resource that could tell them how to overcome that? Because I feel like, that tech savviness just comes more naturally, I think, for younger generations. And so yeah, do you have any tips for parents that might find themselves in that situation, that might be getting outsmarted, I guess, by their kids in terms of what they're doing online? Because it is great that all the tips that you provided, and you made me think, just my own profile on my computer. If I let anybody you know, like if I just move over my chair, you know, like, oh yeah, go on, jump on, you know, like you have my fingerprints, you have my credit cards, like my organization's credit cards, like, I'm like, wow. So yeah, it is really a good reminder to just, you know, like think about those things that we kind of just take for granted. But yeah, tips for parents that might be feeling outsmarted.
Of course, that's a really good question. It happens all the time. You know, I think that kids are on the internet so much that they've developed a quickness. It's almost like a second nature to them. You know, they're constantly on their phones. They've been on the internet since almost they were born, right? So definitely a good question. I think it's helpful when parents are with the kids or around them, or even like as something as simple as saying, hey, what is that you're on? You want to show me how that works? You know, just so that not only are you monitoring, but you're also kind of like slowly integrating yourself into that world, right? There's an application called Discord. I have no idea what it was. And one of the clients that I see for therapy was telling me, oh, this is how it works. And you click on this and you click on that, and you can chat and you can share videos and you can share all this information. And he was teaching me how to use it. You know, so it's something as simple as that. Even how does that work? You know, I'm curious about that, because not only does it show that you're demonstrating some curiosity, but you're learning, and it's a great way of also spending time with your kids, right? So you're kind of covering all of your bases there, right? But again, just being present, asking questions, you know, it's never too late to learn. And especially as we've seen now, we've had to really transition and really use the internet a lot more. So it is never, don't feel ashamed to ask questions, to ask your kids questions, you know. And also I find that kids really feel good because they feel like they've mastered something. So whether it's something as easy as YouTube, how do you search that video? How do you connect the YouTube to the television, which I've seen kids do, right? Or all of these different games that they're in. If we ask them, how does it work? They say, oh, you know, they have that like proud smile. Oh, this is how it works. Click on this button and you do that. And it makes them really feel good. And we in turn are learning something. So really just taking that time to be a part and ask those questions, right?
Good advice. Do we have any more questions, please?
In the meantime, while we wait to see if people have questions, I just kind of want to let everyone know what I've sent in the chat. And I don't know if the people on Facebook can see the chat, but we can share this information as well in other forms. But we have a Facebook, so that's a link for that as well if you're interested in looking at our page, and you can connect with us there. I also included the website for our program, the email that you can reach us at, and the consultation hours flyer.
They were shared amongst us.
Oh, I'll send them again. Okay.
And no worries, I'll include them. I already have them, so I'll include them in the follow-up email that you'll receive after this presentation. So we got you. But yes. Well, I don't see any other questions, and I guess we can wrap. But thank you so much, Gabriela, Cindy, thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you so much for your time. Everyone that's attended, thank you so much as well. I'll go ahead and activate a poll so you can just let us know how we did and what we can improve. But thank you so much for being here. If, of course, you have any questions at a later time, please feel free to submit them either to our presenters or to myself. I'll be contacting you via email with the follow-up and the presentation, so no worries. Plenty of time, and yeah, there will be a Spanish version of this presentation. We will do it live on October 12th at 11. And for those of you who wish to learn more about future planning, we will be doing webinars tomorrow in English and on Thursday in Spanish on future planning. It's never too early to start planning for your child, and that can be fiduciary or legal aspects, legal instruments. So we want to definitely give you a moment to learn about that some more and ask questions as you may have. But go ahead and do this. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.